Adequate notice of the December 30th, 2024 meeting of the Township Committee has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on a bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, faxing such notice in the following newspapers: Morris County Daily Record, the Star Ledger, Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
On roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Francioli.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
And Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
5 members in attendance.
Okay, please join us if you would for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for our prayer led by Deputy Mayor Mike Mahalko. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, please watch over and guide this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding to help make the best decisions for our residents. Please bless our first responders and township volunteers who help keep us all safe. Also bless our township employees and residents. Lastly, please let us pray for the men and women of the U.S. Armed Forces who stand vigil over us always. Amen.
Good evening. May I have a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing the Township Committee to go into closed executive session to discuss matters under attorney-client pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 as it relates to the fourth round affordable housing and pending litigations, Hursmont versus SMCUMA et al. May I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're going to go into executive session for a little while, and we will return. Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, you get a close-up seat.
So, Christy, you're taking this, right? I have an easy job now.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. May I have a motion? Oh, sorry, my mic's off. Thank you, everyone, for being so patient. You hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, may I have a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is the approval of Township Committee meeting minutes of December 12th. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So approved. Next order of business is the approval of the resolutions 214, 2024, 215, 2024, and 216, 2024 as a consent agenda. Any member of the committee have any questions regarding any of these items?
No. So moved.
May I please have a motion?
Second.
Thank you. May I have a second? All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Resolutions are so approved. Next, we have to pay our bills in the amount of $397,702.65. John, can we pay the bills?
Motion to pay the bills.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Bills will be paid. Next on the agenda is Ordinance 27, 2024. I'd like to state for the record that on December 12, 2024, the Township Committee opened the public hearing of Ordinance 27. The Township Committee then decided to carry the hearing and the adoption to tonight's meeting. At this time, may I have a motion to continue the public hearing of Ordinance 27, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Is there anyone in chambers wishing to be heard concerning Ordinance 27? If so, please state your name and address for the record.
Go ahead, tell me, open it for the public.
Oh, open to the public.
Okay, we're gonna open up-
I'm sorry, we do the payment of bills. I'm sorry, I missed part of the agenda, I apologize, I was reading too fast. We're going to open to the public, but not for ordinance. Anything else that anybody would like to speak regarding, you may do so. Come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Nothing on ordinance 27. Any other public comments are welcome.
There will be a public hearing
Yes.
on the ordinance.
Yes. I went too fast. I'm sorry. We went out of order.
Open, plain old open to the public.
Yeah.
Good evening, Terry Baird. I live in the Whitney section of Hanover Township. Like I try to do every time we have a meeting, I try to update you on what's happening at the Social Welfare Hotel, also known as the Red Carpet and the Scottish Inn. Just so that you are aware, the ceiling and the roof of the Scottish Inn is collapsing, and they are still housing the people in those particular rooms. They are not being moved. They're in rooms where the ceilings are collapsing because of water damage up on the roof, and pretty soon they'll be opened up to the sky and they'll be able to look at the stars. So I think that you should be aware of that, since that nobody seems to be able to do anything at this level. But if you ever have any meetings with any state representatives, you might want to pass something like that along. They also wanted you to know, the residents over there, that things still haven't changed, and they're looking forward to being able to get out of there and into housing, but that doesn't seem to be happening because of all the stopgaps at the county level. So all the stopgaps at the county level, if you ever speak to any of our county representatives, you might want to pass that along, that there are a lot of things such as the cost of the apartments that they can go into. They have to be, according to a bedroom distribution on a HUD site, and they're only allowed so much money. It has to include utilities. So if it doesn't go to that, if it's too much, they can't go in. But the people that are living there are forced to apply, which the application process is $50 or $75 a person per adult that's in the household. In Lindsay's household, there are 3 adults now. So it cost her $300 this weekend because the county mandates that they apply to so many apartments, even though they can't afford it and the TRA won't pay for it. She's out $300, out of her $728 welfare benefit, of which she pays $510 copay to the hotel. And of course, she didn't have enough money, so I, Terry Baird, paid for it. Again and again. So, and I'm just trying to help one family. I have spent thousands of dollars trying to help this family in this past year. Thousands. I'm getting close to $5,000. The amount of money that is spent there to keep people there is unrealistic compared to what they could be getting if they were actually in an apartment. I could have put a down payment on a house by now with the amount of money that's been spent on just this one family alone. It's disgusting. That's where our taxpayer dollars are going, and that's what the county's paying for. The county pays for them to live there. $77 a night for them to live there. That's all our taxpayer dollar money. It's insane. Absolutely insane. And I just thought you should be aware. Thank you.
Terry, before you sit down, just to get to the first issue, I just have a couple of questions, because there's certain things we can fix short-term. Obviously, your second issue is a much larger one. The rooms with the ceilings that were caving in, were you in those rooms?
I personally cannot go into the hotel. Well, for
What I'm
several,
looking for, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but just in the instant of time, I'm interested in which hotel and what rooms.
Scottish Inn, second floor, towards the Route 10 side.
Thank you.
Brad, did you have another question?
No, that's it. I really, because I want to get somebody in buildings, somebody to have a look at that. That's something that we might be able to do as a
Thank you.
town, as opposed to some of the things you're talking about require the state to get involved.
The building's such a health hazard, I can't go in. Since I was poisoned by toxic mold, my lungs can't tolerate going into the building. Even when I go there, I spray myself with a home flea spray so that I don't bring home cockroaches and bed bugs to my home.
And Terry, I just
Just
want to say
keep
that
outside.
Senator Panaccio has been back in touch with me. I know you had a nice meeting with Senator Panaccio, and I think he's one of the highest representatives we know, and he's very concerned about some of the issues you brought to him, so hopefully that helps too. So we're here for you, we're here for all of our residents, so thank you for bringing this to our attention repeatedly.
And also, if, they used to call it DIFUS, now they call it DCPMP, okay? If DIFUS were to come to your house and you had cockroaches and mold and such like that in your home, your children would be taken away from you. DCPMP pays that hotel to house people, and I'll leave it at that.
Mayor, after this, about 3 meetings ago, Terry, where someone from that hotel came and spoke, every person on this governing body stopped me to say, please, let's do whatever we can do, and that's what was represented. And Rob had coordinated an inspection from the state, and as you know, somehow, right, it went okay. But what would help is if there are photos, to what I think, we're getting at, is if there's photos or information, if that could be forwarded to Joe Giorgio, we will forward all that down to the DCA representative who sent out for the inspection. Maybe these are things they didn't see when they went for that inspection or didn't look for, or whatever it might be. We can bring it to their immediate attention. At least there's someone, we should be able to do that.
Unless they have
I'd be glad to.
blindfolds on.
Well, I'll just say, if you get that to the administration, those photos from anybody, and I know you said that in the past, that somehow some residents felt they couldn't necessarily come forward with that, but if they give that, say, to you, and you send it to the administration, I know that we've established a communication with the DCA. Rob even had some town representatives go to the inspections, so that's the best. Otherwise, those inspections, as you know, don't take place for like months at a time. So if you could forward them, I think we can at least take a look and see what we can do right
I'll try
away.
to have them take pictures that are unidentifying to their rooms, because even if OTA, Office of Temporary Assistance, pays for their room, NIAC does not have to accept them. They can just kick them out the next day. Knock on the door at 9 o'clock in the morning, tell them they have to be out by 11.
Thank you, Terry.
We had the
Thank you, Terry.
cooperation, Mr. Mayor, if I could.
Please.
We had a meeting set up with the Morris County Commissioners, and we had a meeting set up with their welfare board as well. Joe Giorgio had set that up with myself and he. Unfortunately, we had to cancel that meeting, ran into a little difficulty with some eye surgery, but that's still on the table. Now, Joe has been away on vacation, and we've had a holiday break in between here, but we'd like to bring that back together. I think if we could sit down with them and get their cooperation, if only with their welfare participants that are in there, okay? Because we know the hotel has a mix of both welfare and public tenants in there as well. It's a problem. But in any event, let me keep you in touch. We'll keep you in touch through Krista as to when I can get that meeting set up again. As soon as Joe gets back off of vacation, we get the holidays behind us, and we'll focus on it.
And Ron, maybe we'll invite Senator Panaccio to that meeting too.
I'd like for him to join us if you want to manage that.
He's involved already,
Sure.
he's involved.
Yeah.
Thank you, Terry.
Chris Atkinson, 70 Mountain Avenue, Cedar Knolls. I walk Ridgedale Avenue just about every day, and I've been noticing there's more and more car accidents on that street in particular, particularly by the Walmart and the storage area. I don't know if there's any plans to do like a traffic study or look into it, but there seems to be more and more people crashing into each other by the Quick Check and the Walmart. That's it.
Brian Cahill is our liaison to public safety, and Brian's already taken notes. I'm sure Brian will make a phone call tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll just do a side-by-side and see the number of accidents 2024 versus 23 versus 22, and see if there's a real trend there or not.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Dean Atkinson, Cedar Knolls. I'm pretty sure that I won't get the answer because I see the people that I need are not here. But I had asked the last time about the signage on Mountain Avenue, and I was just wondering if there was any update on whether we're able to remove the extra speed hump ahead signs or lower any of the signs to
Okay, well, since the last meeting, we asked Jerry Macera to look into it. And I don't know what Jerry did, but Jerry's on vacation. But Colliers, we have a representative from Colliers Engineering tonight, which is basically in charge of that project. And we shared the concerns of the neighborhood with Colliers, with the amount of signage, with the amount of temporary signage, with the amount of possible construction signage. So if you could take the floor and just explain what legally we have to do with the signage, the height of the signage, the amount of signage, and why, that would be really great for our residents.
Thank you, Mayor.
Blaze,
Please,
can you turn it on too, please? Thank you.
Thank you. So for the speed humps that are being installed on Mountain and Summit, there's 11 of them. There needs to be 2 signs per speed hump approach. One as a speed hump ahead type of sign, and then the other one as the speed hump is here sign. So you need 2 signs per location per approach. That's what the final look will be. And it has to be that way. That's how it is. And, you know, it's for safety reasons to make sure that you're giving the motorists the opportunity to be aware that the speed hump is there and they don't go fast over and cause a accident.
Where does it say that that's a requirement? I'm just wondering, because I don't see that on our other streets, and I don't see that in other towns.
It's a DOT regulation.
I see like one before the speed hump, or one at the speed hump, but I don't see 2, because we have 4 signs for each speed hump.
Yes,
And I
yeah.
don't see that in anywhere else. This is the only 2 streets I've ever seen that.
I could only talk about what I know what's going on with these speed humps right now. That's how they are. They're per DOT standard. One set is per approach. That's how it is.
Okay, and are you able to give me the information on where I can find that information?
Sure, it's on the NJDOT. It's their technical specifications.
In the what?
Their technical specifications, the New Jersey Department of Transportation, when it comes to speed humps.
Okay, I didn't see that.
I think Jerry's getting back on January 6th. John, do you know that?
I believe that's the correct date.
I will follow up with Jerry and see where he left off with you.
Yeah,
And
because
with
when
Colliers
I-
and Jerry, we'll get you that information.
I know I read the DOT, one of the things, and then I read the manual for uniform traffic control devices, and I didn't see where you need 4 at each speed hump, anywhere in there.
We will get that information to you.
We could meet with Jerry and the resident.
I would appreciate that.
That would, not a problem.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none? Hearing none? Motion to close that portion of public comment?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Now we're going to do the public hearing on ordinance 27. Is there any member of the public that wants to be heard regarding ordinance number 27? If so, please state your name and address for the record at the podium.
And you will have 4 minutes uninterrupted.
Got to break the 4-minute mile, huh? Thank you, Darren O'Connor. I'm at Brandywine Court in Whippany. So our property actually backs up right toward the dead end on Eden Lane, so near and dear to our heart. Thank you, the council and the other employees, representatives of the town, because I know you guys put a lot of time in. I said that last time, and it's
Raise the
not
microphone. I can't.
not
Raise your
underappreciated.
microphone a little bit. It's difficult for us.
Sorry,
Rebecca.
okay.
Thank you.
Much better.
All right, so thank you guys for all the time you put in.
You can yell at us.
All right, I will. I get louder as I go on. So there's a couple things. We've talked about this. I've been to a few meetings. Thank you again for allowing, some of the people from the neighborhood to have some extra access to talk about this. But, we have a lawsuit, so it seems like, I know there's supposed to be, at least from the press, some ruling January 1st. I don't know how that's going to affect things. So I know we have this December 30th date, and a lot of work probably went into that. Not to get to the end, but my view would be, let's back this up a couple of months. I know that's easy to say, and there's a lot of moving parts. You have the state trying to move here, you have the developer, you have Bayer that wants to move on if we're not going to pass this, and so on and so forth. But it's not an easy decision you guys have to make. Traffic, it's already a huge problem. It's not going to get any better. We've talked about it ad nauseum. That particular section around Quick Check coming down Parsippany Road, we've talked about it. 700 cars an hour at peak. It's only going to have to back that light up as all these people are coming in and out of this, residence and the commercial part. So that's a lot of cars that are going to be coming the other way. The trees, I didn't realize, I should have gotten involved earlier in this. There's thousands of trees that are going to be cut down for this thing, that buffer Eden Lane. I originally thought they were going to develop inside of that, on the old parking lot and all that area in there. I didn't realize all those trees are coming down. I mean, I need a permit to take one tree down in my yard, but we can wipe out thousands as long as we're putting up some housing. So that seems a little hypocritical, whether it's the state or the town or whatever. There's a lot of wildlife back there. Goes through our yard every day, whether it's the turkeys and the fox and the deer and so on and so forth. I know they'll still be on the airport property, but just we keep squeezing them in and squeezing them in. So the setback, if this was going to go forward, I know the developer was here last time and he had the blueprints and it said 83 feet off of Eden Lane. When I look at the plan that's still on the town website that I pulled up today, it says 50 feet off of Eden Lane. So I don't know if there's a discrepancy there or it got moved and maybe the plan is outdated. So that does concern me if this was to move forward. One thing that struck me, I know this whole thing got started with the condemnation of the property, and those buildings that I never even saw were way back there, but has the town looked into and what's going to happen? Like, what's in those buildings? Those were old Bell Labs. Are there any environmental concerns? And has there been any testing, or who's going to look over all that, I guess, from the state, the town, the county? I don't know what's in those buildings or what's been in there for 30 years. They're kind of tucked away in the woods. I think that's all I have. So I realize it's a difficult decision. I'm not saying that property shouldn't be developed in my point of view. 400 units just to me is way too many with what's going on all around the county and the northern part of the state here. If it was a lot less units and a little more commercial, which it was originally designed to be, I think that would be, just putting more time in and getting this right, I think we'd have a better outcome. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Alyssa Shane Lapidus, 37 Valley Forge Drive. I hear the concerns. I did come with something prepared. As concerned residents whose property is in very close proximity to Bayer, my husband and I have spent a lot of time on this topic. We've attended several planning board meetings, township committee meetings, and have been given the opportunity to meet with some of you on the township committee, as well as some members of the planning board and others. We've talked at length about this situation and fully appreciate the struggle the township committee has had in weighing the right thing to do for the town. We have the same concerns that we have heard neighbors and committee members raise. We are worried about traffic, especially knowing what traffic is like right now, and that is without the other planned developments built and inhabited yet. We are worried about safety. We are worried about the wildlife. We are worried about the impact on our property value. We are worried about the trees. However, we have also heard the risks, and we did all we could to understand those risks. I'm pretty risk adverse. So I really have focused on reviewing those risks in order to form my opinion. First, while I realize we are in a lawsuit and the next gubernatorial race is next year, there are a lot of unknowns with both the lawsuit and the race. We don't know that we, along with the other municipalities, will be successful with the lawsuit. There are a lot of towns joining up, but if we win, will that win reverse what has already been dictated or just future allocations? While I am hopeful that the next governor will be someone who appreciates the pressure that has been placed on communities like Hanover Township and will have a very different opinion and perspective than our current governor, we don't have time to wait, and we don't know what the result will be of the gubernatorial race. Secondly, we know Bayer wants to offload the property and has actively pursued this route, despite the township trying very hard with other ideas that better align with what we want our community to look like. If the plan is not passed, will Bayer go to the state? And if that happens, what will the state do? My concern is that the state will force more housing upon us than what is actually called for in this redevelopment plan. Alternatively, will Bayer leave? If they do, will we be able to replace them with another corporate citizen? Or could we somehow end up with some really crazy situation that involves an even bigger development? Finally, I keep thinking about the experience Mr. Mahalko shared at a previous township committee meeting, where he explained that 8 or 9 years ago, the planning board voted no on a plan that would have put 750 units on Eden Lane. We are now ending up with a whole lot more than that because of what is being forced upon us by the state. If those 750 units had been approved and built, we wouldn't have that property as an option to become an even more massive development, which it will soon be. We know that the Bayer property could have as many as 1,400 rental units built, all within the buildable portion of the property. So while I think 400 sounds like a lot, with 320 being for sale and 80 rental, it does sound a lot better than 1,400 potential rental units to me. I truly appreciate the dilemma, and I feel, moving forward, that I am more comfortable with going with the current redevelopment plan, given those risks. But that being said, I very much worry about a bait and switch, where we have a plan as it is now and end up with something else. I would love to know what the Township Committee and the Planning Board will do to ensure that if the plan is passed, it will be followed with the caliber of the hotel, retail, and residents aligning to what is expected, and how we as residents can help in that effort. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Good evening. I had prepared remarks last time. I'm going off the cuff this time. Denise Shenong, 8 Concord Road. Darren, I really appreciate a lot of the points that you raised, and I agree. I think that after learning a little bit more about this ordinance that's presented before us, at the end of the day, it comes to me down to this fear. It's fear of the what-ifs. It's fear of this compelling event that seems to be happening with December 31st. That's before us. That's, pressuring us to make this decision when it's our town. You're the town council. You set the strategic master plan that is the vision of what we all believed in and why we decided to purchase property to live here. So I believe that we should be taking that into consideration. I don't believe we should be being pressured. I don't believe that we should be, and I'm not naive enough to know that this isn't about money. It's always about money, and I get that. But I think that you all have a lot more power than we are maybe feeling, and I think we need to take the time to really think this through. There's a lot of really smart people in this town that care a lot about this town and have skills and assets that perhaps we could put our heads together and think about what we need to do to fight what's happening with the state. You know, New Jersey, Warren notices in 2024, Bayer put 131 jobs that were laid off. We have no idea what's going to happen to Bayer. They've been a wonderful corporate citizen here, stakeholder, but we can't be making decisions and changing our strategic master plan because of the short term. So I think at the end of the day, we know high-density development is a problem. 400 units, 400 new residents is a lot in that very small, in my opinion, acreage. And so at the end of the day, I think that we shouldn't be being pressured into making this decision. If we need more time, we should take that time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Dean Atkinson, Cedar Knolls. I don't live over there and haven't followed it, obviously, like you guys have. But I see a lot of you here, and so I wanted to know how you guys fall. Like, who here would like to see them vote no on ordinance, what is it, 27-2024? Who would like to see them vote no? Raise your hand. Okay, and who would like to see them vote yes? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Mike Chochnitsky, 57 Oak Boulevard. I have lived in town for 25 years, more or less. But Teresa, whose family has been here for something like 125 years, asked if I would say something. She thought that what Landmark has presented to the Township Committee for over a dozen years right now, of our vision for the center of Whippany, would be useful in helping to evaluate this ordinance. The vision that we have presented has been in draft form. It's now on its third revision. We keep revising it. It doesn't change. It doesn't get approved. It's still draft. But the vision basically says that there is something called historic Whippany, because Whippany is a unique place in New Jersey. I mean, Whippany was Morris, Warren, and Sussex counties, and then the representatives of the King said, no, it's not Whippany anymore, it's Hanover Township, okay? Now we have the state dictating one more time to us to change our town. The vision that we have says that historic Whippany, which the township has approved and signs are going up one of these days, will have a number of museums. We have a railroad museum. We have a living museum called the Whippany Burying Yard. We have a fire department museum. And someday we're going to have the Tuttle House become a museum. We have $877,250 worth of approved grants. And if the Township Committee can fund the matching funds, then preservation of that building happens, and all of a sudden our gem, the center of town, gets significantly better. We have suggested that along the river which was the blood of this town, that we should have a trail, and the trail ends in the nature preserve. And this ordinance basically says that you are plopping this massive development right where the nature preserve is. And that doesn't make the center of town better. It doesn't make the ambiance. It doesn't make the lifestyle of Whippany any better. And so we have presented our vision, and we hope that that is a useful perspective, because Whippany has something that few other people have. We had it all in terms of the historic development of the United States here. and we want to preserve that and fight tooth and nail to recognize that our history is that important. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Terry Baird, Whippany section of Hanover. I think the plan is short-sighted. I think it fails in reference to the needs of the public, the people, the local people in town. Unfortunately, a lot of these places are built and they are not within reach for people to be able to afford, and they still can't stay in town. So, you know, you have families, we have a big promise of senior housing, we have to see that. You know, people don't want to leave town, they want to stay with their families. But these humongous edifices don't really meet the needs of the people who live in Hanover Township. They may meet the needs of the people who live in Jersey City and Bayonne or wherever, that want to come here, but we're here already. And it doesn't meet the needs of the people that are here at all, from my standpoint. I'm also, my family's been here a long time. And Hanover Township has changed over time, but slowly. This is like running a marathon uphill. And it doesn't really meet the needs of the people that live here. The people who live here in town, if a senior family was to sell their home, they can't afford the rent in these places. They can't afford it. It's impossible. That's why you see, I don't even think 81 over there is full. Is it, Jim? I don't think so. I mean, look how long it took to fill it. I mean, it's just, and the affordable housing piece doesn't meet anybody's needs. It's based on what the state may quote-unquote recommend or what the town may recommend, but 80 units, it doesn't really address the ability of somebody who, say, wanted to get out of the hotel and has a TRA voucher that will pay for their rent, that they already have approval for years, can't afford to move there because it's still too high, or the qualifications that are necessary to get in there are impossible for them to meet. That's, again, where your state representatives could come in, because those things really need to change, because the only thing that's going to get them out is for laws to be changed. Otherwise, they're just going to stay there in the homeless hotel and with the ceiling caving in around them. And if they get kicked out of there, they'll be squatting in houses down the road, or they'll be living behind Walmart, which, yes, they still live behind Walmart. And the people behind Walmart, guess what? They work. They go to work every day. They can't afford a place to live. This does not meet anybody's needs. The homeless people over at the hotel, they live in our town. They're not just, isolated there. They're part of our town. They've been living there for a year and a half or longer, 3 years, 4 years. I mean, usually when you live someplace 30 days, you're a resident, right? So I don't think it meets the needs of the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Anyone else?
My apologies. I'd just like to add a really short codicil, and that is, it's incredible how quickly history is forgotten. And I'm going to cite that, John, you and I were at Chet Koshin's funeral, okay? World War II hero. There is a school in town called Memorial Junior School. named after the heroes of World War II. And in that school, they never mention that World War II happens to any of the children. It's incredible how quickly history is forgotten. Whippany had the headquarters of the Continental Army. We have nothing in town to memorialize it, that we ran the Continental War from Whippany. So, my apologies for the codicil.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be heard?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does any member of the committee have any comments they'd like to make regarding ordinance 27?
John, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, Mayor, I've got a comment. I'd like to first, on behalf of the committee, thank everyone for coming out, sharing their thoughts, their perspective on ordinance 27. It's important. It's important that we hear it. There's 3 points to consider related to the South Campus from a planning board perspective, responsibility for planning. And it's whether, what, and how. Let's reflect a little bit. Whether this 80 acres, will it be developed? Yes, it will be developed at some point. What will be developed there? Well, since 2010, the Planning Board, Township Committee, we've evaluated 7 initiatives. 7. This is the only one that is advanced to the redevelopment state, and the only one that constituted a mixed-use component of residential and commercial. We've heard a lot of straight residential. The last one is how it will be redeveloped. And from a how standpoint, I'll go back to the planning standpoint, and what I would suggest and recommend, Mayor, is that our attorney conduct an optimization plan of the affordable housing component as it relates to special needs.
Thank you, John. Ron, any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes. Again, I echo Committeeman Faramasca's comment to our public. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I know this is of great interest to everybody in the room. It affects all of us. It's been said from the floor that Hanover Township has a gun to its head. And that may be so, but I've experienced COA, Fair Share Housing, et cetera, as council knows, since its early stages in the 1978-79 Mount Laurel decisions, which made a requirement of every town and municipality in New Jersey to take on low and moderate housing, affordable housing. It's a very noble program, and it worked very well for quite some time. My comments are not focused on the outcome fully of the Bayer property. It's an OBRL zone, Office Building Research Lab. It's been that way since Bell Laboratories. There are many good uses for this, and as John said, it's going to develop into something at some point. But that being said, my greater issue is if we're going to accept development in this, in what form do we accept it? Now, both the Mayor Gallagher, and Committeeman Faramasca have been down at the League of Municipalities and arguing for developmentally disabled peoples and to get more housing into Hanover for the special needs of the town. And this is an ideal spot for that, and I'm sure we're giving it some consideration. But having said that, at this point, I do think there is further need for looking at this site. It's one of the last largest sites of this town other than the Whippany paperboard property, and how it develops is of critical importance to us all. I would like to learn more about this as we go on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ron. Brian?
My only comment would just be to thank those of you that did come out. It is very important, and I think I can speak for all of us, really do appreciate the fact that you understand the the decision that we need to make. It's not taken lightly at all. There's just so many moving parts, and it's nice to see that you do your research and you kind of understand all the wheels that are in motion here. So just thank you for that. We really do appreciate when you come out and take your input very, very seriously.
Thank you, Brian. Mike?
Yeah, just real quick, again, I agree with my committeeman, and you're absolutely right, Brian. You know, the people that are here...
Oh, your mic.
You don't want to hear me anyway. I want to thank the people that are here. They've done their homework, they've done their research. This is not Facebook where they just pull stuff out of the air and just say, cross your arms, stamp your feet, and say no. You guys we've been to meetings after meeting after meeting, and we've met with the residents, and we're doing our best to get what's best for Hanover. And like Brian said, there's a lot of moving parts. 2 points. Something's going to get built here. Not tonight, maybe not tomorrow, I don't know, but something's going to get built there. Just know it. We've been amazed that it's been this vacant for this long. And again, it's a matter of picking your poison. And the other thing is, and Ron had mentioned it too, the fair share housing, that's beyond our control. Write your senators, write your representatives. I gave up on this governor, but write them. Tell them what they're doing to our towns. If you don't speak up, they will not listen. If they do not hear you, they cannot react. And even if, we've got a town of 14,000 people, a little bit more. If 1,000 of you wrote a letter, that would make a difference. If every town, 1,000 people wrote a letter, it would make a difference. And I'm not talking Republican or Democrat, this is beyond that. This is the degradation of our state. It's getting overrun for money. That's the only way there is to it. But again, thank you all for coming out. Thank you for your input. We do appreciate it. We do take it all to heart.
Thank you, Mike. Just to conclude, and I won't repeat anything any of my colleagues have said up here, and thank you very much, guys, for all your time, and I appreciate your comments and your hard work. I think I've spoken to just about everybody in this room repeatedly about the issues that we're up against. Detail about the challenge that we're involved in, and another challenge that we may get involved in. Also, serving on a subcommittee with the League of Municipalities, we made this an issue for the governor's race coming up in 2025. Everybody is going to weigh in on where they are, what they'd like to do to make it better, and also we're forcing the hand to respond to the Bucco bill, which was very specific about stopping round 3 on where it is and evaluate where and how it's going to adversely affect us. But where I would conclude is I appreciate the understanding of this issue and this fight and how high level it goes. And I've said plenty of times, there's no dais between us and you. We're Hanover Township residents. And sometimes as a mental exercise, I make believe I'm not part of the governing body. And when I go into what the heck are they thinking, then I try to take that into a practical application to serve you better. So this is a struggle. It's going to be developed. Darren O'Connor, you are sharp. You pick up everything. Your sentence right there, we could have stopped everything. It's going to be developed, but what is it going to be, and when is that going to happen? And that's our job, working with you to try to do the absolute best we can for Hanover Township. So that being said, thank you guys. Thank you for everything. And Fred, do you want to close out with any thoughts?
Mayor, if I could just for the record, one of the questions, it was a good question that was raised, was the lawsuit right now. Let's just say the court strikes down the new rules. What happens to the old rules? The old rules are still in effect, and that's because, on top of it, the rules were developed from a court case down in Trenton, Mercer County, about 7 years ago. Some towns got together and they challenged the formula, and there was a decision that we're all still living by. That was a result of that type of fight. So it doesn't wipe out the past, so to speak. It could change the future. This project, this property right now, is not part of the township's affordable housing plan. But that doesn't mean in the future that won't change. But I just want to make it clear that that's what happens. And when it comes to the different lawsuits, there's the one at the state level. The town also is involved where the governing body, there's a lot of comments, like you said, somebody said, like the Facebook comments. There are so many different moving parts when it comes to affordable housing. So for an example, the governing body had existing affordable housing units. And what it did was, it used trust fund money paid by developers, not taxpayers, and extended those controls for 106 affordable units, so they would count again. That way you didn't have to build another 500 units. And so right now, one of the fallouts to that is the governing body has litigation regarding those extensions. Someone challenged that, saying that, the Property Owners Association saying that they should still be paying the dues as the market rate units. So there's those type of things that are still going on, and the extension of controls. But nonetheless, the next round is upon us, and it's coming forward. But as far as the timing of this ordinance, what it's important to understand is, this ordinance, if it's not adopted tonight, by law, you have to start again, because the governing body resets at its reorganization meeting next year. So that's why you're here tonight. That's why it's December 30th. And to some of the comments, just from a legal perspective, Committeeman Faramasca had indicated, I'd like to look at the affordable component. You can do that, but you can't, this isn't June where you could say, and we'll bring it back next month. You have to start again if you want to do that. It doesn't preclude you from bringing back the ordinance for consideration if you had a concern like that. It's just because it's the end of the year, this ordinance has to be decided one way or the other, and you'd have to start again, just so we're clear for the record. And to that point, I just wanted clarification from the governing body to that request. Mr. Faramasca, you had said to take a look at the affordable component of this project and try to reassess it. Can you just make sure that I understand your comment better?
I'll reiterate. The recommendation is that our attorney would conduct an optimization of the affordable housing plan component as it relates to special needs. Background on this is, Mayor spoke about it, Committeeman Francioli spoke about it, Hanover advanced recommendations with the league in Atlantic City, trying to provide special treatment, priority for special needs. We want to see that done here.
Okay. So I understand, that's one of the follow-ups that this governing body's asking to look at.
To look at if it were to come back as a new program, if it was defeated tonight.
If it were defeated, understood. Right, because I can't say to you, well, I'll get back to you next month and you can continue this. You'd have to decide on the ordinance tonight, and then that would have to be revisited at a later date.
And before we go to a vote, Krista, I just want to make one more comment about something Fred said. About a year and a half ago, each public meeting, we brought up a full section on an affordable housing fair share update by Fred Samarow. A lot of municipalities have had roundtable discussions about the law, how it could affect us, and different strategies. I participated in 2 with 7 different municipalities. We're going to discuss doing something like that in Hanover Township, because like Mike said and Brian said, we appreciate the due diligence our residents are doing because it's helpful to us. This is your town. We represent you. So we will be bringing back Fred's update once a month, and we are going to have a roundtable discussion or a public forum where we will discuss everything we can and answer any questions we can as it pertains to the upcoming round and the unmet need from round 3. So that's my final comment.
Okay, now, may I take a vote on adoption of ordinance 27, 2024? Committeeman Cahill?
No.
Committeeman Faramasca?
No.
Committeeman Francioli?
No.
Committeeman Mahalko?
No.
Mayor Gallagher?
No.
Okay, ordinance 27, 2024 is defeated unanimously. Mayor Gallagher and the members of the committee, that clears the agenda, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Krista. So before we adjourn, would anybody like to make any comment to the public?
Mayor, can I just ask, with respect to that vote, does that mean this governing body still wants me to have that dialogue regarding the affordable housing component of that project, or not to have that dialogue? I just wanted to make sure I'm clear.
That was the proposal.
Okay, so I would still follow through. It's just
If it
that,
does come back in 2025, it would be
Okay.
helpful for you to discuss that component.
Okay,
That's how
thank
I
you.
understand it, John, is that correct?
Yes, that was the proposal. Thank
all right, thank you.
Okay, would anybody from the governing body like to make a closing comment?
Have a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
And we have one other matter we didn't reach, Mayor, the litigation with the...
And that's what we're going to do before we
Right,
go.
just one matter to go into...
Thank you very much, everybody.
Motion to adjourn?
No, because we have to go back.
We have to continue?
That was great.